Hello, I hope you're having a great day today. Today we're taking a look at the short story in this book, Ill Lean Times in Lankhmar by Fritz Leiber. It's called The Wrong Tunnel. It's 8 pages long and it connects the previous 27-page long short story called When the Dream Sea King's Away with the next huge novella, which is more than 100 pages long, called The Adept's Gambit for you folks. It's the next short story in this collection. Although, to be fair, it's really more of a chapter than it is a short story because it doesn't have a traditional beginning, middle, or end. It's just connective material. That connects the two books that I mentioned. In this book. So it's just connective tissue for you folks. It's well written. It's fun, but I wouldn't consider it like this great short story to read on your own when you're trying to discover what's happening. It's good to read in between the other two things. So I'm only going to be giving this a 6 out of 10 because it's hard to it's just very fast, although it's well written and it doesn't have that sort of a depth to it that you would expect. So anyway. So what winds up happening in this short story, and again, I keep my reviews spoiler-free, so we won't be doing a deep dive into it, but in what's happening is that our main characters have just left trying to sleep with the Sea King's women after he left for that day on the 7th day of the 7th month of the 7th year when he leaves his home for a day. And now they are under a curse. They're being attacked by undersea beasts, and they're being attacked by weather phenomenon and running into reefs that shouldn't be there because they know the inner sea very well. And so they're being attacked and all these different things. They definitely realize that they're under the Sea King's curse. So they're going to try to flee the Sea King's curse that they got last short story, the When the Sea King's Away. So that's it. That's the key plot of the short story for you folks. Now again, for this short story's begun getting published in 1939 by Fritz Leiber for you folks, and he's died in 1992, and he published actually every decade from the 30s to the 90s when he died. And again, the title of my channel, The Worst Thing About New Books, is a quote by a French philosopher named Jacques Joubert, who said that the worst thing about them was that they kept us from reading the old books. And this guy who wrote decades ago is a key part of the passion for this channel for you folks. And he's also heavily influential and has won a lot of awards. He's one of the most awarded people out there. He has tons of Hugo Awards. And in fact, this series has won Hugo Awards. Like I started in 39, it has a ton of short stories and novellas in it that's been collected. I'll link you to the second collection in the comments below. Again, my channel tries to find these bigger names out there that you've either heard of but never read, or that you've read too a long time ago, but you maybe not have come back to it, and so forth. I did 5 short stories that I reviewed for you folks. Actually, 1 novella and 4 short stories that I reviewed for you folks a few years ago when I started this channel. When I started this channel for the first couple of years, I didn't go back and reread things that I hadn't read in 15 or 20 years, like I had this collection, or just things that I read new for this channel. So I hadn't started that yet, and so I did 5 reviews for you folks, but the last one was done. It's actually Lean Times in Lankhmar in this one, and The Cloud of Hate also in this one too. That are back-to-back short stories actually in this collection, and that's it. So now we're only going back and rereading things, so that way now I have a fresh take on them, if you will, what I think about them now, rather than previously for you folks. And I think that's valuable, because some guys that I thought were good when I went back and reread them, like Michael Stackpole's Battletech books, when I went back and reread that series, are not as good. And other people that I went back and reread, I'm like, actually, it's pretty good. I actually like that a lot for you folks. So anyway, so he wrote in all 3 genres. He has a Stoker Award for horror, and he's written in the Cthulhu mythos, and I've actually reviewed a short story of his in the Cthulhu mythos, since he was an acolyte of H.P. Lovecraft, the guy who created it. And he died in 1937, a couple of years before Fritz Leiber's first short story was published. So, but they were definitely protégés and corresponded by writing. Then I've also reviewed a science fiction short story for you, rather, that is in the Science Fiction Hall of Fame, according to the Science Fiction Writers of America. They published a collection of works that they considered in their Hall of Fame, if you will, and so I did that one too for you folks. So I've reviewed, prior to doing this deep dive, 7 short stories, but not in 3 years. So there you are. So now we're going to go ahead and leave you with this short story. Again, I'm doing a short story, if you will, 8 pages long. It took like 15 minutes for me to knock it out last night for the second time. I'm giving it a 6 out of 10. So there you are. Have you read it? The Wrong Tunnel? If so, what'd you think about it? Let's talk about it in the comments below. If you enjoyed this, why not hit that subscribe button? There's going to be a lot more of these to follow. And finally, I just want to thank you so much for taking some time out of your day and investing it in watching my video. We all have so many things that are happening in our lives, and we're pulled in so many different directions. So the fact that you spent this time with me is incredibly humbling, and I appreciate it. Thanks again, and have an amazing day.